I made a decision to carry out a special military operation. The purpose of this operation is to protect people who, for 8 years now, have been facing humiliation and genocide perpetrated by the Kiev regime. Russia is part of the European culture. And I cannot imagine my own country in isolation from Europe and what we often call the civilized world. So it is hard for me to visualize NATO as an enemy. Russia and the US are not enemies. They do not threaten each other. They may well be allies. I would like to see both Russia and Ukraine hold a worthy place in world civilization. NATO itself is expanding and is bringing its military infrastructure ever closer to our borders. We have closed our bases in Cuba and Vietnam, but what have we got in return? We continue to be told, we don't want to take your interests into account, we are going to do whatever we want. So we'll just have to view it as a threat to our security, and we'll be forced to respond accordingly. I want to say that a certain cooling in our relations began with the events in Iraq. That did not happen yesterday, last year, or the year before that. It started with the events in Iraq when our colleagues, especially our American colleagues, called on us to take an active part in those events. I can merely say that we do not see NATO as a hostile organization, and we do not regard its existence as a tragedy, although we don't see why it should exist. Today we must say once and for all, the Cold War is done with. We have entered a new stage of development. The second possible variant is to admit Russia to NATO. That too creates a common defense and security space. There is a limit to everything. And with Ukraine, our Western partners have crossed the line, playing the bear and acting irresponsibly and unprofessionally. Attempts to push supposedly more progressive development models onto other nations actually resulted in regression, barbarity, and extensive bloodshed. This happened in many Middle Eastern and North African countries. This dramatic situation unfolded in Syria. It is very bold indeed to imagine that we seek a return to the Cold War era. Our main task today is internal development, resolving our country's social and economic problems. We want to build for ourselves a favorable external environment and develop partnerships, alliances, strategic relations with everyone, including with the United States. Incidentally, Russia, we are constantly being taught about democracy. But for some reason, those who teach us do not want to learn themselves. We would like to see, together with all the developed nations, to see among our adversaries only terrorists and drug barons. It is not about Russia's ambitions, dear colleagues, but about the recognition of the fact that we can no longer tolerate the current state of affairs in the world. No, nobody really wanted to talk to us about the core of the problem, and nobody wanted to listen to us. So listen now.